This is your 1 minute, 1 minute. All right, awesome. So what we're going to do now is in a minute or in a couple seconds, Maribel is going to open up the break rooms. And so with your group, you're going to confer your focus, your reflections, what were your big takeaways, and then you're going to, on the corresponding slides on the Jamboard, just write a brief description or create an outline of how this professional learning might look like for your selected group. And your selected group could be, like I said, either administrators, teachers, or families and community. So you all need to decide who your selected group is, and then what would your outline look like for this professional learning. And remember that the focus is to really emphasize why we need mathematics as a launch pad. Okay. All right. So Maribel, I believe, dropped the Jamboard on the chat, and yeah, we can open up the rooms. Thank you, Maribel. Sunny, let us know if you need help getting to the room, or you might be. Thank you. So 3:33. I'm probably gonna bring them back around 3:45. Depending on what the Jamboards look like.
Sounds good.
Let me open that up. Close this one.
Do you know if I click broadcast, if I'm able to send them the Jamboard again?
Um, I don't know if they'll get the Jamboard on the broadcast, but because I don't know if it does links. Does that make sense? I think it's just like
Oh, yeah,
an
that's right.
announcement.
Mm,
But I mean, you put it on the chat, so they should have access to it.
okay.
Yeah, thank you though.
Mhm. I'm getting a call. I'll be back.
Okay, thank you, Maribel. Excuse me.
Okay, I'm back.
Mariva, do you live far from here?
No, I live really close, like a 10-minute drive.
Oh, that's good. You live in Downey then?
Bellflower.
Bellflower. Gotcha.
Yeah. What about you?
I live in Inglewood. It's not too far.
Oh,
It's
that's not
like
that
20
bad.
minutes.
Mhm.
Yeah. But it's a better commute than where I was because I used to drive like an hour.
Oh no, that's
I
terrible.
know. So when I landed this job, I was like so excited for the commute.
That's awesome. Where did you used to work?
I worked at Huntington Park.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
and the difficult part about that is that for me, like I have a daughter and
Mm.
I had to go drop her off at my mom's, but my mom lives in San Pedro. You know where San
Oh,
Pedro is?
yeah,
Uh-huh.
south.
So I had to go all the way to San Pedro and then come all the way back,
Oh
you
my
know?
gosh.
And it was just there's just not a lot of like I feel like there's not a lot of freeways around Huntington Park. Like you can't get off
Mm-hmm.
and then be there. Like here
Yeah,
I get off on Lakewood and it's like right
right
there.
there. Mm-hmm.
And it's not like that. Um over there at Huntington Park, I feel like there's not a lot of freeways really close. Like you still have to drive some time. And then there's
Kind of
just
like Whittier.
huh?
Like Whittier or like La Mirada.
Yeah,
Like there's
maybe
no
like yeah,
freeways.
like but there's just also so much traffic in the mornings. It's just terrible.
Yeah. How old is
Um
your daughter?
huh?
How old is your daughter?
She's 3.
Oh,
Yeah,
the baby.
she's small.
Oh, how's a toddler life?
Yeah. You don't have any kids, right? Or do
I
you?
have a baby boy.
Oh my God. How old is he? How old is he?
He's 9 months.
Oh, that's so
Yes, he's a little worm. Like he doesn't like to stay in place now.
gotcha. He's like probably like in the like trying to like got the ad, huh? And
Yes, he's already crawling.
yeah. That's so cute. I
And
remember.
he's standing. He wants to stand now.
Oh, he's standing too. Oh, that
Mm-hmm.
strong then, huh?
Oh yes, he is. And very
I
determined.
I need to see a picture.
I have a few in my cubicle.
Okay, next time I go, I'm gonna like glance to see.
Yes, yes.
What's his name?
Ismael.
Oh, I like that. It's
Thank you.
my daughter's name is Jade. So it's
Oh,
spelled
okay.
as Jade, right?
Uh-huh.
Jade. But
Mm-hmm.
I like to pronounce it in Spanish because it just sounds
Oh,
so nice, you know,
that is
Jade.
pretty. That is pretty.
Yeah.
But I'm sure they call her Jade. Is she in
Yeah.
school?
She's not in school yet. So I was actually looking into trying to send her right here to the one down the street, Carpenter,
Mm-hmm.
because it would be just like super convenient, right?
Oh, yes.
But she's not meeting the age cutoff or whatever it is. So she might have to
Mm.
start till next year, which is okay because she's still
Oh,
little, you know?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
What time do you want them to come back?
So let's do three three more minutes.
Okay.
So maybe maybe I could do a broadcast, or can you do a broadcast to or I could do it. Let me do it.
Okay.
Yeah. Let me open it. So it looks like they have their thoughts already. Group number one might not be all there, but we'll see what happens.
Okay.
So in like let's do one like in a minute, like at 3:48, let's just close the groups down. And it takes them like 60 seconds to
Yes.
okay.
Fully closed. Mm-hmm.
And then you're going to probably leave after this, right, Maribel?
At 4, yeah.
Okay. Because I won't have the next breakout until probably a little like 4:10. If that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'll do that one myself. It should be okay. I'm trying to do partners. So since hopefully it'll be enough. They will. Two. I think it'll be like 3 groups of 2. Okay.
All right, they're closing out in
Thank
50
you.
seconds.
Welcome back. I think we're still waiting on a few. I think on the other group. Oh, there they come. All right, awesome. Welcome back, everyone. So I saw some great thoughts and ideas on the Jamboards, and so if we can come off mute and just share out. Let me project the Jamboard so everyone can see. Yeah, and so we'll get started with room 1. So who the spokesperson for room 1, if you can come off mute and share, that would be awesome.
I'll start for us. We ended up not writing much on the Jamboard because we were having a really good conversation. We didn't add much, but we were talking about growth mindset, the whole article resonated with all of us, and but the need for growth mindset for students, but also the growth mindset for teachers and the adults in the system, and maybe that needs to come first. The other thing we talked about was tracking and looking at data for school systems and countries that don't track and how much better they perform, that we actually have data showing that.
Thank you for sharing, Wendy. I love that. Definitely, right? We have to start with that growth mindset, especially with the adults in our classrooms, right? Because that messaging that our teachers send to our students is very important, right? So I love that. Thank you for sharing. Did anyone else want to add anything for this group before we go to the next group?
I'm going to chime in. This is not a growth mindset and fixed mind versus fixed mindset. It's not a new idea. It's been how many years? 10 years since we implement the framework and also Common Core. It seems like we are still standing at the same place, not moving forward. So our wonder is, what do we do with the second framework? Are we just talking the talk, or do we have any ideas? Collaboratively, how do we work together to make some impact? How about LACO, do you have any plan to support the districts? Because we are really making very, very small gain. And with what happened currently with the data science, with the UC region's decision, it seems like we're afraid it's going to bring us back to the time that our mindset is really weeding out students from elite mathematics field.
Mm. Okay, Sunny. So it's a little bit hard for me to hear you because you're a little low, but so I hear you saying that, you know, this is not a new idea that we have, right? Common Core has been around since, you know, the 2013. And so what can we do as together with LACO to support that shift in mindset? Because we're still, that's something that we're still struggling with. We still see some of our teachers or our educators out in the districts or in the county struggling with that mindset, right?
We are also very concerned about what happened lately.
With the data
2
science.
days ago, yes.
Yes.
It seems like that's only in the beginning.
Definitely.
It seems like there's a force out there trying to undo a lot of groundwork that we have built in the past 10 years in terms of providing a more equitable teaching as well as access
Definitely.
to quality math education.
And so I hear some concerns around the data science and what happened with the decision from the boards. And we do have, I mean, I am going to share updates. I'm sure you are up to date, but we do have that in the presentation for the third and for the second day. But definitely we want to get together to advocate for us not to go backwards, like you're saying, right? We don't want to go backwards. We want to move forward. And so thank you so much, Sunny, for sharing that. I appreciate that. All righty. And how about for our second group?
Oh, I'm unmuted. Oh, shoot. I hope they didn't say anything just now. Okay. So we talked about our audience of teachers. We talked about what the why, the what, and the how was. So the why being we want to develop those math skills because it creates access to occupation, career ready, college readiness. And we talked about the growth mindset, of course. We want to embrace it. We want to work towards developing understanding. We can learn anything through the hard work and perseverance, and that's the what. And as far as the how, we want to provide multi-dimensional experiences. I guess we latched onto the UDL. That's something we're looking to look more into in the future, how we can use UDL to design the lessons and move forward from there, the numerical, physical, visual representations.
Thank you, Long. I appreciate that. So definitely, I like the why, the what, and the how. I like that outline, the way that's organized, and definitely for UDL, just to kind of share a little bit, we're looking to bring Dr. Rachel Lambert next semester. We had her. I'm not sure if any of you were at our DA convening, but she presented on rethinking disability and in mathematics. And so her presentation was awesome. So we're looking into bringing her to LACO to do some more learning around the UDL component. I love that. Does anybody else want to add anything from group 2 before we move on?
I just wanted to share that one of the thoughts I had was, you know, I work a lot with the math pieces, and what I keep hearing is the math is math and it hasn't changed. And then, so I look at where we are with the past framework and where we are now with the new one. And the main thing that kind of resonates with me is you know, when we did Common Core, we said this is what we need to be teaching. We said we need to be looking at introducing the mathematical practice to all of our students. And I feel like this time around, we're saying that, but we're also saying, but here's the how to make sure that we're providing access to all of the students. And I don't think, like Sunny said, I don't think too many of the things that are new, but I think the biggest nuance of the new is we have to provide entry points for all of our students and make them see themselves as, they see themselves as mathematical people who can use and apply and complete the task as related to what the teachers are asking. So even within our group, we had a little conversation of what does that look like in terms of being culturally responsive when introducing mathematics, and what that could look like from simple things to maybe things on a larger scale, tying it to things in the community related to the math that needs to be done. So I think that's a shift that if someone is a math person, the numbers come natural. And so those of us that need that extra layer, the visuals and the physical representation, I think we need to take those opportunities to pull in the cultural aspects of things.
Gotcha. Thank you so much, Margie, for sharing. So I hear you say connection to the community, which is definitely going to spark interest and curiosity in our students, right? Cultural relevance. And so that's an important component that we need to have in order to engage our students in the mathematics, right? Because this framework is all about engagement and opening up that access, especially through and via the pathways that we offer our students. I love that. Thank you. All right. So with that, we're going to go ahead and take a look at our next, actually before, so I think I heard a lot of reflection around this already in the share outs, but I'd like to see from you all. So you read, you had the reflection with your group. And so now on the chat, if you could just take a minute to share the number, which of these three focuses. So our mathematics as a launch pad had three major focus, right? Seeing opportunities for growth in math capacity, meeting varied learning needs, and using multidimensional approach. So which of these do you think might be the most challenging for your specific districts or specific sites? And if you can drop that number on the chat, that would be awesome. So we can just see where we are at with that. All right, so I see a lot of ones and then a few threes. So it looks like 1 and 3 are the focuses that we are finding here to be a little bit the most challenging for us. Awesome. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at some. So before we look at the actual pathways for high school, the framework really does a great job at recommending, having options for a recommendation for a strong foundation, right? A strong foundation so that when students get to high schools, they have that foundation that we need. So how do I achieve a strong foundation in middle school mathematics? So here are some recommendations from the framework. So the first recommendation is option 1. So a strong Common Core 6, 7, and 8 math course in middle school, right? And we all know that this is crucial, right? The second option that the framework offers is the accelerated option. And I know there was some controversy around this topic, but the framework does recommend this as an option. However, it has some other recommendations that go with it. So if option 2 is something that your district is supporting, then they recommend that Algebra 1 be integrated with challenging content in other areas. for mathematics to strengthen and deepen students' foundation of advanced mathematics, right? So there still needs to be that kind of blended learning of the 8th math course, right? The Common Core math course. And there's also recommendation around the instruction and having a assessment for readiness for students that are going to be entering in this path.
Jessica, can you
yes.
explain what the difference between the 7th grade accelerated and the 8th grade accelerated? Is it still 2 years in one that this 8th grade accelerated option is doing? And then they take Math 7, just Math 7? Is that the pathway that's being described?
No, so this option 2, the path, that's where students take Algebra 1 in 8th grade. And they have Algebra 1, not just purely, it's mixed in through with the content of 8th grade content.
So it's mixed in with Math 8 standards.
Yes.
So that's
yes.
different from the 7th grade acceleration that Common Core had at the beginning about 10 years ago.
Yeah, that's different. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Long, for the question. And then the last option that the framework shares is an alternative for 8th grade acceleration option. And so this is looking at your high school curriculum and eliminating redundancies in the high school courses. So we know that a lot of the times Algebra 2 has a lot of Algebra 1 content repeated. And we also know that pre-calculus also repeats a lot of the Algebra 2 content. And so with that, there's some redundancies or some overlap. And so the framework recommends looking into the courses that are being offered to students and eliminating those redundancies, right? And I'd like to just have a quick reflection. So just open up for conversation. So what type of community conversations can we have around the 3 options for creating a strong middle school foundation? So I guess this is dependent on your district and your offerings for your sites. So what types of community conversations have we had or are we having? If we can share out loud, that would be awesome.
We're having conversations about the acceleration in middle school right now with teacher teams and some administrators. I'm wondering, similar to the gentleman who asked the question earlier, what is the thinking around doing essentially 2 years in one with the algebra and 8th grade mixed content, as opposed to the model of 3 and 2, like we used to do?
Can you repeat that wondering, Wendy? I wasn't sure.
Well,
I didn't really
the
catch.
recommendation used to be for 7-8 algebra 1 in 2 years. Now you're saying the recommendation is 8th and algebra 1 in 1 year. What is the thinking around that change?
I'm not sure around like specifically what the thinking is around that, but from the framework and what I've read, that's the 8th grade acceleration component. So that when students enter, I guess 9th grade, they are able to then go through the process of accessing, let's say, calculus if they wanted to take it, right? As opposed to if they just enter in 9th grade and then they have algebra 1 and then there's like no space for them. So I think that was that component. That's the reason for that option. I'm not too sure about the 7th grade accelerate, the 2 year and the 1, but that's from my reflection of what I read in the framework. That's what I got from that one. But that's so I guess I'm interested, Wendy. So what are the conversations that you are all having?
We don't currently have a compacted acceleration. We currently have students essentially skipping courses as opposed to compacted. So we're currently talking about compacting, kind of what you were just talking about, having some 8th grade in with the algebra 1, but we've also been talking about having some 8th grade in with the 7th to prepare them for that.
Gotcha. Okay.
So you caught me off guard with that question because we are doing the integrated IM 1, 2, and 3 for high school.
Mm-hmm.
So what it looks like for us right now is it's math 6, math 7, and for them to do the accelerated, it starts in 7th grade. So it's accelerated 7. So they'll have the 7 and part of 8th. And then when they go into IM1 as 8th grade, which would have been their freshman year, they're using the curriculum from IM1, but many of the teachers that teach that course also teach a math 8, so they know where the gaps are that they need to make sure that the students have, that because of the accelerated path that they're on. So
Okay.
that ours is a little different. And so I was like, wait, let me wrap my mind around what she's talking to me about algebra 1. So,
So your equivalent, Margie, would be the IM1, right?
right, because in
Yeah.
7th grade that's when they take the accelerated course to prepare them for IM1.
Yeah. And that's the conversation we're having, but we're in a traditional one. So it's instead of IM1, it's algebra.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. Okay.
And we've been doing that for a while.
Okay. What about Sunny? What does that look like for you all at Alhambra? Or Tiffany at Roland?
Wendy and I are in the same district, so it'd be.
Oh, gotcha. Thank you. I totally forgot. Sorry. Okay, so it looks like, what about Marissa?
I'm in the same district as Sunny.
Gotcha.
We detracked, I think she said in 2013. I'm the director of secondary ed, and she's the instructional specialist for TK through 8 mathematics. And so we stopped doing the whole busing of students in 8th grade to go over to the high school. I think it's been over 10 years, maybe closer to 13 years. And so we went to the integrated math pathway. And it was a big struggle to transition to that, but we eventually got that community support and buy-in. And then just the UC Regents decision is kind of taking us back. We've spent millions of dollars, partnered with UCLA for intro to data science, and now we're back to square one. Yeah.
Well, hopefully we don't have to. So I mean, I guess I can. So right now the area C, the 4th year, for it to count as a 4th year, it's still like they're still in that in that phase, right? Because phase 1 just, I mean, it does impact UC admission, but phase 1 just says that it no longer validates the algebra 2 component, right?
So we were using IDS and statistics, partnered with UCLA as a 3rd year math. And so that's one of our pathways. Kids can also obviously choose the other pathway that gets you obviously to calculus, right? AP calculus.
Yeah.
But that sets us back.
Yeah.
Quite a ways.
It definitely does. My hope is that they don't eliminate it as an area C course, right? Because there was conversations around it becoming an area G math course. So we definitely don't want that. And so
I just feel like we're retracking into the type of tracking that I was tracked into high school to not be in the pathway to go to college. And so it's disturbing to me because we have kids that are going to be liberal arts majors, right? That are not going to be STEM majors. The vast majority of kids are not STEM majors. And here we are. Yeah, it's upsetting.
Yes. Thank you so much, Marissa, for sharing that. And it is upsetting, and we need to figure out how we can, like Sunny shared earlier, keep going forward and not move backward. Well, thank you all for sharing around the way that your middle school, how you're in your preparation. I just wanted to make sure I gave that space for that conversation so that we can all learn from one another. So I appreciate that. And so what we want to get into right now is the 2 high school pathways, right? And so I'd like for us to do groups of 2. It looks like we just we lost, so we have 4. So we'll do 2 groups of 2, which is awesome. I think Tiffany and Sunny left. So I'm going to have you all just split up into partner A, partner B. When you get into your group, decide who A or B is. And then choose to explore one of the pathways that the framework is offering. So you're either going to explore the traditional or the integrated pathway. And then once you're done exploring and looking at the pathway that you chose, then you're going to teach it or just discuss it with your partner. And I'd like for you to focus on 2 questions. So what are the big ideas associated with each course in each pathway? And how are the big ideas in each course connected to the standards for each pathway? And then once you are done sharing, then we're going to come back and just share any takeaways that rose from your sharings and your conversations. And so with that, I am going to drop both links here into the chat. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and open up the breakout rooms. So we'll do 2. And then we'll come back in about, let's say, in about 10 minutes. All right, see you all in 10 minutes. Right, welcome back, everyone. And so I'd like to hear any major takeaways from the two pathways, or any highlights, or what, looking at the big ideas and the standards, what our conversations focused on during our time to share.
Woo. I just so I'm not the secondary math teacher, but all I thought was, looking at the big ideas, comparing IM1 to Algebra 1, it seems like there's a lot more covered in IM1 than versus Algebra 1. But you could see where that seems like the things that are covered in Algebra 1 are covered in more depth, and I'm only assuming that because of the size of the bubbles on the graph. I could be totally wrong, but I
You're
figured
spot on, Margie. Yes.
Okay. And so that was kind of what I observed. And then I laughed and said, when I got to IM3, I wish they were all in that table. That would have been easier for me to find the language that was the same or different.
Thank you so much for sharing, Margie. Definitely, you're spot on. Definitely, those are some of my noticings when I first saw the information as well. Any other major takeaways or highlights?
We talked about what happens after that third year and the third and fourth year options, because those pathways only went to IM3 or Algebra 2. So
Definitely.
we were talking about, what pathways open up after that, or even during that third year.
Yes, definitely. Those are great wonderings, because we will be talking about the third and the fourth year options in our next week. But those are great wonderings. And then with the whole, like Marissa was sharing, with this whole new data science situation, how does that impact the framework and what their recommendations were as well, right? So thank you for sharing it. I appreciate that. And so with that, we have a few minutes. So I just have some slides, but you all already kind of did this learning. So, right, we have the two pathways, one traditional and integrated, Algebra 1, Geometry, Algebra 2, Math 1, 2, and 3. Here we have the big ideas, and this is something that was very, like what Margie shared, very eye-opening to me, that if I'm a 9th grade teacher and I'm looking at Algebra 1 and IM1, which one of these is going to look better to me, depending on what you want your students to get out of the course. But there's definitely a big difference in content from just the visuals. And then we have for IM2 and geometry. For me, Algebra 2 and IM3 is the course that needs the most work, right? In regards to the pathways, because we know that the recommendation that, for UC admission, if we're looking specifically at UC admission, they are recommending that the 3-year course pathway, right? Either the IM1, IM2, IM3, or the Algebra 1, Geometry, Algebra 2. And they are accepting only courses that have those prereqs in place. That's the reason why they invalidated the data science. So my wondering is how we can sit down with our high school teachers for this course, either Algebra 2, IM3, and pre-calc, and how we can consolidate to form this one course where students don't necessarily have to take Algebra 2 and pre-calc, or IM3 and pre-calc. How can we consolidate a course for them to be able to access that content in the one course? Because like I said earlier, there's a lot of overlap, there's a lot of redundancy, and we don't have time for that. There's already enough standards in our framework. And so with that, I'd like to close with exactly that. So this is a quote directly from our framework. As a carefully constructed collection of learning goals, the California Common Core standards were never intended to be designed for instruction. And in fact, the sheer number of standards, especially at the high school level, mean that a standard by standard approach to instruction is impossible, right? There's so many standards that we can't teach them one by one, right? And so with that, I'd like to thank you all for your participation and invite you to do a quick reflection. This is our midpoint reflection before we come back next week. So choose a sentence frame to share in the chat. Either I am excited for with the information I learned today, I will blank because, or I would like to learn more about. And if you can drop that in the chat. And then once you shared, I hope you all have a great evening. And I hope to see you all next week, where we'll talk about our 3rd and 4th year options. And then hopefully we'll have our guest speaker, like I shared earlier, to share a little bit about how they or what work they did to reconstruct their pathways.